Welcome, everyone. Can everybody hear me out there? Welcome, everyone. Thank you for joining us here today. My name is Jim Enders. I'm the business manager here at Local 520. I'm also the president of the Central PA Building and Construction Trades Council. I have to tell you, when I looked over today's list of guest speakers, one thing immediately stood out to me. Every one of them is a true friend of organized labor and the blue-collar workers who built this Commonwealth. Together, we share the commitment of protecting good-paying jobs, strengthening Pennsylvania's middle class, and creating opportunities for all working families. Since 1914, Local 520 has proudly represented skilled tradespeople throughout Central PA. Today, we represent more than 1,750 plumbers, pipe fitters, welders, and service techs across 23 counties. Our members build and maintain our schools, hospitals, manufacturing facilities, power plants, water treatment systems, and commercial buildings that keep our communities running every day. One of our greatest strengths is our apprenticeship program. Our apprenticeship program provides young men and women with a debt-free pathway to the middle class while supplying our contractors with highly trained workforce that they need to succeed in today's market. Governor Josh Shapiro has recognized that investing in skilled trades and organized labor is an investment in Pennsylvania's future. His administration has expanded support for apprenticeship programs and career and technical education, while also investing in critical infrastructure throughout the entire region. Those efforts are creating opportunities for working families and helping to ensure those projects are built by Pennsylvania's highly skilled workforce. Like many of the building trades in the area, Local 520 is seeing these opportunities firsthand. Thanks to the historic growth in construction market across the Commonwealth, we're looking to increase our membership by adding 200 new members immediately. If you know any, have them give me a call. The building trades appreciate all our elected leaders who recognize that strong unions and a growing economy go hand in hand. It's now my pleasure to introduce one of those leaders. The next speaker has been a friend to Local 520 for well over a decade and a longtime advocate for the people of Dauphin County and the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Before being elected to the Pennsylvania Senate, she served with distinction on the Harrisburg City Council and in the House of Representatives. Today, a senator for the 15th District, which is where we are standing right now, she continues to champion working people, strengthening local communities, and bring people together to solve problems. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to my friend, Patty Kim.
Good afternoon, everyone. Who is ready to re-elect Governor Josh Shapiro and Austin Davis? Who is ready to kick Scott Perry out and put in Janelle Stelson? Who's ready for a trifecta in the General Assembly? We are. Jim Enders, thank you so much for your kind introduction. Thank you for supporting the Democratic delegation. We have here Representative Justin Fleming. We have here Representative Dave Madsen. We have here Representative Nate Davison. We are stronger together, and we appreciate your support. So again, welcome to the district. The speakers you'll be hearing very soon have either flipped a seat or will flip a seat. And I have to remind you, the master of flipping is Governor Josh Shapiro. 14 years ago, he flipped the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners and became board chair. There was a 140-year Republican stronghold that he changed and shook up. So it makes sense that we're here under his leadership because he knows how to flip seats. He also knows that we're much stronger together. He has already supported our Dauphin County delegation by adding $2 million for our fire department. That helps the whole region when it comes to firefighting. He has put in a historic number of public education dollars so that our students can learn and thrive. And he has been an amazing partner in helping to jumpstart the downtown revitalization project. He believes in that project. So folks, we are going to make things happen here today. What I long for, and I'm very excited for, is to have a congressperson that I can partner with for my district. The last time I had that, and I wasn't even in office, was Tim Holden, and that was a long time ago. Can you imagine having Congresswoman Janelle Stelson and talk about the issues that we believe in and helping the most vulnerable and add more affordable housing and raising the minimum wage on the federal level? There are so much to do, but we're stuck with him. I want a partner in DC, not an embarrassment. So, us together, working together. In a couple of hours, you guys are going to be looking at your phones on the radar to see about a storm. You guys remember the South Central delegation Democrats, we are the storm, and we're going to kick ass this summer. So, it is my honor to bring up someone very special who has worked very hard for this seat. She knows the district and she knows how to connect with people. Let's bring up Sarah Agerton, the next state representative for House District 88.
So we are so excited because in November, we are going to have a moment in Pennsylvania, and this moment is so needed. Do you know what it is? We are going to have more than just one in the House for our plus. And do you know what that means for you? It means all the good stuff that the House has been doing, we are going to multiply it. We are going to make sure that minimum wage gets passed again for an increase. We're going to take care of our housing. We're going to make sure people have education and all of the things that our working families need. We're going to be funding these programs with so much more gut, right? And we're so excited. And then we're going to flip the Senate. And we're going to follow the lead of our governor, and we're going to make sure that we represent Pennsylvania in the best way. But how are we going to do it? We're going to do it because you've committed today, because you've showed up, that we are going to knock doors up and down the ballot, bottom to the top, top to the bottom, because every seat counts in November. We need to make sure that we don't just flip the House. We flip the Senate. We make sure we secure the governor, and that we make sure that we send Janelle Stelson to Congress. So I know the weather's not nice, but we all have access to umbrellas, and it's sure as a heck of a lot better than it was yesterday, right? So please join us and make sure that we don't leave any door untouched. Make sure that we talk to every single neighbor, even people that you may not think you should have a conversation with. We need to be sitting there listening, because it's up to each and every one of you in here for us to have that moment in November. That moment is going to be more than just a blue wave. It is going to be all of us splashing all of Pennsylvania and becoming more blue and making sure all of our neighbors are taken care of. So thank you. I'm going to turn it over to James Malone, who knows a lot about hard work. He knows a lot about flipping a district and making sure that he's working across the aisle to make sure our neighbors are taken care of. So thank you so much for coming out. Let's do this.
So I tend to talk on a lot, so I've got a little timer here. But just in case you don't know, I am James Andrew Malone. I am the 36th District Senate, the 36th Senatorial District state senator. I can get through it. So I won a special election in March of last year. A little more than 500 votes. I want to reiterate that just for a second because we have everybody coming out, everyone knocking on doors, but we still have that mentality of, oh, well, there's a lot of Republicans, or, oh, I don't know, I'll talk to my neighbor, he's got a MAGA flag or whatever. We won in an R-15. We had, when Josh Shapiro was in 2022, 24, 22, whatever it is, my brain is a little fried. In 22, he carried our district as well. You know that we can win if we show up and do the work. And that is the biggest thing that I'm doing right now, every day. I will say we only have 11 senatorial session days left in the year. I would really love that to change, and it will, with a Senate majority Democratic leadership. Because we have a backlog of awesome bipartisan bills sitting, waiting for us to get to. Obviously, they'll all have to be reintroduced. However, we can actually do the work, have committee meetings, get this stuff done and voted through. Everything from, like we've said, raising the minimum wage, answering and dealing with our issues that are coming up because of healthcare and everything else, and we can really push this forward. I'm also excited at the idea of having Janelle Stelson in Congress because, frankly, I'm writing our Congress folks now about every 3 months, and I haven't even gotten a, hey, I got your letter, man. So, we need to push forward. We need to support the governor. We need to support everybody up and down the ballot, and talk to your neighbors because they're caring about the same things you are. They just don't know it yet. Give them a talk, give them a chow, and let's really push this forward. So I am introducing Eugene De Pasquale. I'm always impressed on his athleticism, but you all know that he's also been extremely good with our taxes, and he's bringing that leadership again to our Pennsylvania Democrats. Eugene, it's all yours.
You got it. We're going to re-elect Senator Malone, aren't we? And we're going to add to our state House majority as well with Sarah. My only problem with Sarah is she does not have an H like my daughter does, but she's going to vote the right way in Harrisburg. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. What a great turnout. Good to see so many friends here. I just want to start off by saying the energy that I see here in this room is the exact same energy I see in rooms and barns and picnic pavilions all over our state, because we are going to take our country back this November. Now, we're here to talk about Rise Up Pennsylvania, something that all of us are incredibly proud of here in the Pennsylvania Democratic Party and our partnership with our great governor, Josh Shapiro. Over the last 9 months, we've been building a statewide organization, county by county, and soon precinct by precinct, that is ready to meet this moment in Pennsylvania for what our country needs. Now, James brought up my athleticism. It sadly was not good enough to play for the Pirates, but it was good enough to be an Ironman athlete. And that gets me to how I got this gig here. See, about a year ago this weekend, I had a horrible bike accident at an Ironman race in upstate New York. And as I'm in the orthopedic surgeon's office on that Monday, I get a call from the governor. Now, I thought he was calling to ask how my clavicle was, and I didn't know how. Maybe state police to state police had given him the information. And I said, oh, it's so nice of you to call and ask about my clavicle and shoulder. That bike accident's pretty tough. He goes, I don't know what you're talking about. He said, but I need you to take over the Pennsylvania Democratic Party. Which is the point where the orthopedic surgeon should have said, you got to hang up. We got to get to work here. But similar to the governor and similar to my colleagues behind me, when you get asked to serve, you serve. And when you get asked to step up and fight Donald Trump and help build something, you do that. And all of us this year have our role to play, and this is mine. Since that, first of all, I did get the shoulder taken up. So we always say from that moment on, but I first got my shoulder taken care of. But since that moment, we've been building an infrastructure all over this state, improving our voter registration. Prior to me taking over as your chair, we had won one voter registration month in the previous 5 years. And that 1 month was the month of the Dobbs decision when Roe was overturned. That was the only month for the previous 5 years that we had won voter registration. Well, I thought something had to be done about that. So I made sure that our resources went into we're the Democratic Party. We should be out registering Democrats. Well, we have won the voter registration battle over Republicans now for 10 straight months. And well before that delusional, unhinged speech, I guess it was a speech Thursday night. And there's sometimes where you say, look, if anybody ever says, oh, what type of person should be president? In future generations, I'm going to show them that video and say, the opposite of this. Having said that, we have to be ready for that. So we've been building also a county-by-county voter protection effort that is going to be prepared to make sure that every single voter gets to cast their ballot this November. Now, with Governor Shapiro's leadership, the Pennsylvania Democratic Party is unveiling today, and I see everyone got the button, so I see the rise up. So that gave a little bit of indication what it was called today. We're unveiling Rise Up Pennsylvania, an unprecedented midterm coordinated organizing effort that is going to help us win races up and down the ballot. Already, Rise Up Pennsylvania has 27 offices across Pennsylvania. Including in our key legislative battle races where we get 2 or 3 for 1, meaning we're obviously focused on making sure we reelect our governor, but where we can maximize our dollars in key state house, key state senate, and key congressional races as well. We have just under 100 full-time organizers leading volunteer teams that have already logged over 5,000 shifts. And because I heard this over and over again, and believe me, I've had my ups and downs politically, and you learn lessons in life. A lot of times people say, we can't wait till September to start knocking on doors. Well, I agree. That's why we've already knocked over 63,000 doors. And we are just getting started. From now through Election Day, we are going to keep our foot on the gas to make sure that we are not only taking advantage of the moment that the delusional president has given us with this political opportunity, but also expanding on our state house, flipping the state senate, reelecting our governor, and making Donald Trump a lame duck president. And none of this would be possible without winning Rise Up Pennsylvania, without our county parties and our legislative colleagues, both in the House and Senate. These are the people who know their communities. Look, too often, we've seen this, we all know this, and especially in a presidential campaign, people parachute in, they don't know the state, and there's always this rub of controversy. Well, we now have everything under one roof here, participating as one team the caucuses, both House and Senate, the governor, the party, and the congressional races. We are operating, obviously each candidate has to do their own thing, but we are operating as one single unit and trusting the people that know their precincts and their counties best, trusting their judgment so that we can make inroads in every single precinct in this state. In this new era of the Pennsylvania Democratic Party, we have been dedicated from day one to empowering and working closely with our partners, including organized labor. And I want to thank Jim and Local 520 for allowing us to use this hall today. Look, just the fact that you're here on a Saturday, and let's be clear, not the best air quality day in the history of central Pennsylvania, you don't need me to tell you what is at stake this November. And if you need to be reminded, as a former college football player, we'd sometimes watch the film, get a tape of that, or I guess you would say a digital version of that, some of us would say tape, of the president's speech. And just every now and then, watch it again to remind yourself of what is at stake this November. Now, we are here in the heart of what I think is going to be one of the most important congressional races, I'm going to say, in the history of the United States. But before I introduce that, I want you to keep in mind this is the auditor meet. I need you to be precise on this one. You need to sign up to volunteer, okay? And it's easy as texting Rise Up. It's all capitals here. I don't know if you have to have them in all caps, but it's all caps here. So I'm just going to tell you it's all caps here, but I don't think you actually have to have all caps. But text Rise Up to 32210. Let me repeat, 32210 to find out where you can volunteer. There are staffers here to help you today and to make sure that you are in the system. So I see hands up to make sure that you are in the system so you can do your part to make sure that we win up and down the ballot this November. Now, it is my honor to introduce our next speaker. When I had my own tryst with our soon-to-be former congressman, Janelle was the moderator of the debate. So there are some pictures of us from that campaign. I'd like to think I was one of the people that helped soften him up. Well, now Janelle Stelson is going to be the one that's going to finish the job and be our congresswoman moving forward. Ladies and gentlemen, our next congresswoman, Janelle Stelson.
Thank you. Wow, that was a pretty nice greeting. Thank you very much. We got to get together with the governor a little more often. He is the one who launched our campaign this time at Whitaker Center. And I remember he said, you know, everybody, Janelle worked her you-know-what off last time. She came very close. Good to see you. And then he went like this. What did you do? What did you do? What did you do? And he pointed everybody out. Yeah, Nate, you too. Love it, Fred Failona, thank you. He pointed everybody out and he said, what did you do? Because it's all of us working together, and how great that we have a governor that brings that on. When I left the TV news set in 2023, one of the first things we did was get out there. Hi, Nate. Was get out there. Hi, Mr. Madsen, representative. Was get out there and we knocked doors. We knocked doors for school board members. We knocked doors for judges. We knocked doors for our state reps, State Senator Patty Kim. We got out there and we did this kind of thing, and it feels pretty good when you see people start to get elected and you're like, yeah, I helped with that. I did that. So thank you all for being here. Matt Roan, really good to have you here. And, a governor who can do that, you have to really love. And I have to say, this time of year, hi, Jerry Mitchell, as I've been running around to houses and talking to voters wherever we can, they talk about a couple of things. They talk about the affordability crisis, and it's everything. It's your groceries, your utilities. Hopefully you have a house over your head, a roof over your head, and now gas because of the war in Iran. It's all a big deal to people. And people are being forced in many cases to make choices now. Do I pay for the groceries or the health care my son needs? And that's not the way we should be living in America, and we should not have a U.S. representative, a congressman, who put us in that kind of position. And this is a guy, thank you very much. This is a guy who, over the past couple of weeks, was the only Pennsylvania Republican or Democrat to vote against the biggest housing bill, the biggest affordable housing bill to come through U.S. Congress in 30 years. The biggest in 30 years. I felt the same way. But that's not how he finished the week. He finished the week by saying, we got to get rid of the 17th Amendment because he does not think that me or you are capable of selecting our U.S. senators. He thinks state legislatures should do it. He doesn't think we're able to do it. I know. It's like, yeah, you got to kind of hold your nose over the whole thing. But he did that, although it was nothing about his seat, because he's happy with his seat. So the House is fine, but we don't know how to pick our senators. He thinks state legislatures should do it. And he capped off that week by co-sponsoring taking all the funding away for the Peace Corps. All of the funding. Yeah, so here's the guy who cut all the USAID jobs. Thank you very much. I know it's not directed at me. Here's a guy who does that. And let's not forget about January 6th, which he was one of the architects of, and asked for a presidential pardon. And this is after he said the Italian satellites screwed up Donald Trump's votes by changing all those votes to Joe Biden votes. Even though Scott Perry's votes were in those same machines and they were just fine. Again, he likes his job. He's fine. Well, I want you to know that if you elect me, we're going to do some things right away. We're going to repeal the chaotic tariff taxes. I've been to a number of small businesses. Thank you. Been to a number of small businesses where they're really upset about it. They're like, Janelle, we don't know if we're going to survive, let alone thrive. So that needs to be taken care of. We're going to make the affordable health care tax credits permanent and expand. Thank you. So, and by the way, Scott Perry, again, the only one in Pennsylvania, no other Republican, no other Democrat. He voted against the government's ability to negotiate prescription drug prices with pharmaceutical companies, whom he's taking a lot of money from. He voted against our ability to do that. It still passed. We got 10 drugs, including insulin, for people who are in Medicare and older. How about we all get the same thing? How about we increase the drugs? Available, accessible, that's something we are going to fight for. And also, the other thing I hear from everybody, corruption. Corruption. And it starts from the CEO on down. That's something we all need to worry about, whether it's term limits, age limits. You can be a brilliant 22-year-old, 23-year-old, 24-year-old. You can't get into the U.S. House until you are 25. And maybe we ought to put a limit on the top, too. They're supposed to be representatives for all of us. And how about maybe we shouldn't be buying stocks? I sold all mine before I decided to run for office because, yeah, thank you. Because they are privy to information that we never get. Normal people never get that information. So they and their families making millions of dollars off insider information we are never privy to. That makes a difference, and I think we've seen the result and the branding and the nastiness and the greediness, and I think everybody's pretty sick and tired of it. So you are looking at somebody who is going to take care of your Social Security. I'm not going to ever raise the age. You made a contract with America. You paid into it forever, and it matters that you can retire with dignity, or however you choose your years after you are finished working. It makes a big difference, and I'm going to protect that. I'm not going to raise the age. One of our first ads, Jim Enders, where do you go? Jim's over there. He talked to you earlier. One of our first ads is Jim. He's at a construction site, and he's like, I can't do this till I'm 69. Let Scott Perry come do this till he's 69. And Jim, you sold it. It's going to look good when it hits TV. So thank you, brother. So you've got somebody who's going to protect our basic needs and who's going to work on a lot of other things. The war in Iran needs to go away. When we talk about opening the Strait of Hormuz, I'm like, dude, it was opened the day before you went to war. So, let alone, I see you shaking your head, number 6. Anyway, let alone all of the, military men and women who have died doing this and all the people in the Middle East who have died. That's not okay. And then you look at the cost of gas for everyone, and that's really not okay. So know that through all my years of being on television and listening and shining a bright light on your concerns and your issues, that you're going to still have somebody who listens. You're going to have somebody who goes away to Washington and tries to get done what you need to have done, and then comes back and communicates with you why we could not do it. So please know, yeah, somebody said that's what we need. I'm like, yes, it is. Again, Scott Perry, no in-person town meeting since 2019. 2019. Getting a lot of booze up here. Ever get those booze? Anyway, I just want to say this congressional seat does not belong to Scott Perry. It belongs to us. And we can go after what we want. So thank you very much. I'm going to say it's going to take all of us to unseat a 7-term congressman, former head of the Freedom Caucus. Not a good dude, but we can work together and bring him down. Very proud that we are going to be hopefully working in Washington to help the governor of this beautiful state continue to do all the good things he's doing for everyone. And I will never forget him going, what did you do? What did you do? What did everybody do? I will never forget that. It's something that we all need to remember all the time. I'm proud to have the governor's support for this campaign. I have seen firsthand just how committed the governor is to building a broad coalition to win critically important races like my own and delivering results for Pennsylvanians across the Commonwealth. Now I want you to scream your heads off like you haven't all day, because the governor of Pennsylvania is here, everybody, Josh Shapiro.
What's up, everybody? All right. How pumped are you to have Janelle Stelson representing you in the Congress of the United States? It is good to be here in Dauphin County as we kick off Rise Pennsylvania, our coordinated campaign. We wanted to be here with all of you to say, we are in it to win it, Dauphin County. And I'm especially happy to be here in a house of labor, here at Local 520. Let me say a special thank you to my friend Jim Enders and every single woman and man of organized labor. Pennsylvania is proud to be a labor union state. Let me just tell you, I am so grateful to be your governor, to serve as the 48th governor of this great Commonwealth, and to be a GSD governor. Every single day I go to work fighting for you. And we've been able to work together to get a whole lot of stuff done. We've made historic investments in our public schools. Universal free breakfast is now the law in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. After decades of decline, the number of teachers is rising in Pennsylvania. Our test scores are going up, truancy is going down, and more opportunity is around for all God's children in our Commonwealth. Good schools and safe communities are at the heart of the progress that we're making. Thanks to investments in hiring more police and investments in organizations that are fighting crime in our communities, violent crime is down 16% across this Commonwealth, and homicides are down 39%. Good schools and safe communities, and I'll tell you what else we're doing. We're growing an economy and building communities that work for all. Communities where you can afford to live and where you have a job. For 43 straight months, Pennsylvania's unemployment rate has been below the national rate. we've created more jobs than all but 2 states in the entire country. Our labor unions are filled. More people are going to work. We're creating more opportunity for all Pennsylvanians, rural, urban, and suburban. And at the same time, what we are seeing is we're putting money back in Pennsylvanians' pockets because we know they're struggling today. On my watch, we have cut taxes 10 different times. The biggest targeted tax cut for seniors in more than 2 decades. About a million working Pennsylvanians are now getting up to $850 back in their pockets because we value people who are working, who are struggling to get ahead, and who understand how challenging this moment is. Every time we put a buck in somebody's pocket, Donald Trump, unfortunately, takes $2 out the other side. But we're doing that work. Good schools and safe communities, an economy that lifts people up, cutting costs, and I'll tell you what else we're doing. We're protecting people's fundamental freedoms right here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I made a commitment to you that on my watch, Pennsylvania would never be a right-to-work state, and we value the union way of life here. I made a commitment to you 4 years ago in the wake of Dobbs that we would trust women to make decisions over their own bodies and protect access to abortion in the Commonwealth, and we've done just that. I made a commitment to protect your fundamental rights, and the most fundamental freedom you have as an American is the right to vote. And no matter how hard they've tried to take it away, here in Pennsylvania, I've stood tall and protected your right to vote, and I will again in the future. We've made a whole lot of progress together, but all of it is on the line right now. All of it is being threatened by people who just simply want to be a rubber stamp for this president. People like my opponent and the opponents of the people who are up here today. But I know Dauphin County, I know Pennsylvania, we are going to stand up to Donald Trump's chaos and cruelty and corruption, and we will send a resounding message this November that we are better than that, and we value our freedoms here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I don't know, this group probably did. I don't know if you took the time to watch that crazy-ass speech the other night. Did you see that? I mean, let me tell you something. This guy is just unhinged. He's just untethered from reality. And he went on national TV in the White House, and he insulted the American people's intelligence, and he insulted Pennsylvania. He is continuing to attack our elections in Pennsylvania and really across the United States. But we have an opportunity to stand up against that and to protect our democracy. I know people, no matter how unhinged that seemed, I know it left you feeling uneasy and worried and scared. But this is not a moment to retreat and worry. This is a moment to stand tall and fight for what we believe in. And I'll remind you, because I got your back in all this, that back in 2020, when Donald Trump lost the election here in Pennsylvania, he and his enablers went to court and sued me 43 different times, I was the Attorney General back then, to try and throw out your votes, to try and thwart the will of the people here in Pennsylvania. But let's remember, he sued us 43 times. Trump went 0-43. I went 43-0, and we defended your right to vote, and we will again. And I know he's especially concerning because he's got a whole bunch of people lined up behind him who just want to rubber stamp everything he does. One of those guys who lines up behind him and rubber stamps every single thing he does is a guy named Scott Perry, who right now
glad you got some booze,
They've
too.
heard of him, I guess. But understand, Scott Perry is not only working hard to undermine your rights and freedoms, rip away the freedom of women to make decisions over their own bodies, attack the union way of life, try and make it harder for you to vote, try and dirty up our air and make our streams more polluted. This is the work he actively does every day. Here's what else he did. He decided that the people at the very, very, very top deserved a tax cut. And then he decided the way he was going to pay for that tax cut was on the backs of people's health care and food assistance in Pennsylvania. Now understand, this isn't theoretical. This isn't just, political talk. This is real for people in Pennsylvania, especially here in South Central Pennsylvania. As a result of his vote, a vote that I have to believe he knew was wrong, but he felt that he had to do it because he has to do whatever his boss tells him to do. His boss should be the million or so people in this congressional district. Instead, he does whatever Donald Trump tells him to. This is the infection that exists right now in the Congress of the United States that we've got to cure. But as a result of what he did, 310,000 Pennsylvanians are losing Medicaid access. 200,000 are losing their health care assistance through the Affordable Care Act. 90,000 already have. 500,000 of our neighbors don't have health care because of how Scott Perry voted. Let that sink in. You want to talk about cruelty? He also voted to strip away the support that people who are hungry rely on. It's called SNAP. I'm a father of 4. Eugene's a father of 2. The idea that as a parent, you wouldn't be able to feed your kids just claws at me, breaks my heart. And then for this guy to come along and take away the lifeline that those people had for their children, that is wrong. We need to replace Scott Perry in the Congress of the United States. I'll tell you where else he's wrong. He does whatever Donald Trump tells him to, including backing this war of choice in Iran, a war that was wrong to get into, that the President of the United States has no idea how to get out of. I'm sad to report to you that we learned just in the last hour or so that 2 brave American service members were killed overnight, killed in this war. One is still, an additional one is missing. I hope we can all join together and pray for strength for their families to get through this challenging moment. And pray that the memories of these brave service members will forever be a blessing upon us. We also have to acknowledge that this war of choice should have never started. We have to find a way out of this. I want someone who is going to courageously stand up and ask the right questions, demand answers, who's going to think of those American service members first, who's going to understand the pain that this war is creating right here at home, at the gas pump, and in a whole lot of other areas. I want someone who understands that we can't have chaos across the globe, the kind of chaos that this president is inflicting on us. I want someone who's going to have the courage of their convictions and not be listening to Donald Trump for direction, but listening to the good people of Pennsylvania for direction. That person is Janelle Stelson, and we need her in the Congress of the United States. I know we're frustrated right now. I know we're angry right now, but the antidote to that anger is for us to get out and do everything we can through this coordinated effort by rising up and making sure Janelle is our next Congresswoman. We can stop this chaos, this cruelty, and this corruption in D.C. by changing the Congress of the United States and understand if Janelle wins this race, and if we win these other targeted races across Pennsylvania, we will have a Democratic majority in Congress, and we will stop these bad policies from going into law. And I'll tell you what else we can do by coming together in this coordinated, really unprecedented way, Mr. Chairman. We can make even more progress here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. You know, all the things that we've been able to get done together. I've had to get through a divided legislature. But I want to tell you something. We're going to make history in Pennsylvania. Because not since 1992 has the Senate of Pennsylvania been in the hands of Democrats. I am convinced that if we work together, this will be the year we win the state Senate, we hold the state House, and we have a trifecta here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. We're going to rise up and do it. And when we do it, understand Central Pennsylvania holds the key to this. Because if you work hard in neighboring Lancaster, you're going to make sure we re-elect one of the finest public servants in Pennsylvania, my friend, State Senator James Malone. If James Malone wins his re-election, and I'm all in for him, I believe that we will have a trifecta in Harrisburg. And I'll tell you what else. We've been able to do all of this with literally a one-seat Democratic majority in the State House of Representatives. I could use a little breathing room in the State House. And the way we get that breathing room, the way we expand our majority, the way we continue to keep our history-making speaker, Joanna McClinton, sitting up on that dais, is to elect Sarah Agerton to the House of Representatives. And with Sarah and with James, let me tell you what we're going to do in the first 30 days of having a trifecta in Harrisburg. We're going to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour in the Commonwealth. I'll tell you what else we're going to do. We will codify abortion rights into law in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. I'll tell you what else we're going to do. We're going to build more affordable housing and take on those utility companies that keep jacking up our rates here in Pennsylvania. And we're going to continue to get a whole lot of stuff done. And we're going to do it because we share these values that value the good people of Pennsylvania, that put them first, that focus on the results that we need to be able to deliver a better future for our kids and our grandkids. All of this is possible. And this, in many ways, is the center of what is going to decide whether we have a trifecta in Harrisburg and a Democratic majority in Washington. Here's the last thing I want to talk about. Not any of the important people up on this stage, but I want to talk about all of you, because you are the ones with the power here. You are the ones who have the ability to make a difference. You've got a whole lot of power because you're yelling power right there. I appreciate that. We have an opportunity here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, the birthplace of our democracy, the swingiest swing state in the country, to decide what the future of the Congress of the United States looks like and to be a model for good governance right here in Harrisburg. And we now, as a result of Rise Up Pennsylvania, have for the first time, Mr. Chairman, I believe ever, the most coordinated, well-funded, well-organized campaign in the history of the Democratic Party here in the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. And you are the reason why I know we're going to win. You're going to make calls, you're going to send texts, you're going to knock on doors, and you're going to do the hard work in the heat of the summer. You're going to do the hard work on the rainy days. And when the temperature starts to get a little chilly, I know you're going to continue to do that work. I want you to know that the only reason I am here today as your governor is because I did that work in my first race for the state house. Nobody thought I had a chance to win. I was running in a district that was 60% Republican back in Montgomery County. It's a little different back then than it is today, Mr. Chairman. And in that race, I personally went out and knocked on 18,000 doors myself. I met my neighbors. And the most important thing I learned in that race was how to listen, how to hear the needs that people have, understand their worries, and to channel those worries into real action that can make their lives better. You have this gift now, this opportunity to fight for these great candidates here, but to do so in a way where you're empowered, knocking on people's doors, talking to folks, taking in their feelings, and showing them how they also have power to go out and make a change and do good in their communities. You've got this unique ability to do that work at one of the most important times in our nation's history. So we've built this coordinated campaign for all of you to help make sure our Commonwealth keeps moving forward, to help stop the chaos and the cruelty and the corruption in Washington, D.C. And I believe that right now, if we channel our energy not into worrying and campaigning or complaining and being angry, but instead into real action that's going to make people's lives better, I believe this will be a moment we will all look back and feel proud, not just of James Malone or Janelle Stelson or Sarah Egerton, but you're going to be proud of yourselves. And you're going to be able to say to your kids and your grandkids and your friends and your neighbors that in this time of tumult in our nation, you rose up and you did your part and you made our Commonwealth and our country stronger. Today, I ask you to commit yourselves to being part of this campaign. Text RISE UP to 32210 to make sure that you are locked in and part of this effort. Next week, we're going to be 100 days out from Election Day, and we're going to have a massive effort all across Pennsylvania. Take a shift, be involved, be engaged, and do your part. I'm asking you to do this work. You know who else has been asking us to do this work? Ben Franklin's been asking us to do this work. I want to close with this. We just celebrated 250 years of the birth of the greatest nation on the face of the earth. And one of my predecessors, Ben Franklin, one of the few people who signed both the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, famously, after toiling over these documents and the words that would go in them and having the compromises that needed to be made without compromising their principles, their love of freedom and democracy and liberty, without compromising any of that, Franklin, exhausted from the events, walked out onto the streets of Philadelphia, and a woman walked over to him. Think about this, Janelle. At that moment, women didn't even have the right to vote, yet this woman walked over to one of our founders, looked Dr. Franklin in the eye and said, Dr. Franklin, after all that, what do we have here? A monarchy or a republic? Franklin looked her in the eye and said, a republic, if you can keep it. For all the words, for all the words in the Declaration of Independence, for all the words in the Constitution, perhaps the most important words for the American people to live by is if you can keep it, because what that means is that every generation of Americans has a responsibility to keep this gift that's been handed down from us from generation to generation, to do the hard work that our ancestors did. This is a moment where no one's coming to do it for us. We've got a responsibility to do this work. So Pennsylvania Democrats, are you ready to rise up? Are you ready to do your part? Are you ready to stop the chaos and the cruelty and the corruption in America? Are you ready to give me a trifecta in Pennsylvania? Then let's rise up together. Let's be in this fight together, and let's get it done. Thank you very, very much. Now, I want you to meet the boss lady for Central Pennsylvania, for Rise Up Pennsylvania. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to bring up our great organizer who's leading this effort for us. You need to get to know her. She's my boss and your boss now. Maddie, get on up here and tell them what they need to know.
All right, hello everyone. That's a tough act to follow. My name is Maddie, and I am honored to be a regional organizing director for the 10th Congressional District with Rise Up PA this year. Now, who is ready for a blue wave this November? Okay. Central Pennsylvania, Dauphin County. You know what it means to live somewhere where every single vote matters. I do not need to tell you that your voice matters in this election, because communities like ours are where elections are decided. You have been in this for the long haul. Could I get some noise? Who here volunteered in 2024? Yeah. Who here volunteered in 2022 when the Gov first ran? Yeah. Who here started volunteering long before then? Yeah. Now, in the past few years, we have won and we have lost. You know how heartbreaking it feels to lose after working so hard, after giving it all you could. And you know how euphoric it feels to see your hard work pay off and win. Central Pennsylvania, we need our hard work to pay off this year. We do. Not just our hard work in 2026, but all our years of hard work that brought us to this moment where we can flip the 10th Congressional District and secure a trifecta. We need to elect Janelle Stelson and fire Scott Perry. We need to expand and protect our one-seat majority in the State House. And we need to flip the state Senate for the first time in this century. Can you believe that? Imagine what we can do with the Democratic trifecta here in Harrisburg. The Gov said it, we can raise the minimum wage. We can establish same-day voter registration and statewide early voting. But we can't do it without your help. We need you, all of you, to knock on doors, make phone calls, and talk to voters across the Commonwealth, in the 10th Congressional District and all over the place, about the importance of re-electing Governor Shapiro and Lieutenant Governor Davis, flipping the U.S. House of Representatives, because that path runs right through Pennsylvania, flipping the state Senate, expanding our razor-thin one-seat majority in the State House, and protecting democracy. That's our job. Now, I'm going to shout out some other people in the room. There are organizers all around this room. Oh, yeah. Wearing Shapiro shirts, and they are holding up clipboards. They are holding their clipboards up, and these people are the best organizers you will ever meet. They work hard day after day to deliver this election, but they can't do it without you. These people have clipboards. Find them if you have not already, and sign up to volunteer. Find them and join us in getting to work, protecting democracy and moving this country and this Commonwealth forward. With you, we can win this. Who's ready to get to work?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Great job.
College. I probably shouldn't brag, I amaze and astonish. The problem is I got a lot of brains but no polish. I gotta holler just to be heard with every word. I drop knowledge, I'm a diamond in the rough, a shining piece of coal, trying to reach my goal. My power of speech, unimpeachable. Only 19, but my mind is older. These